It's a new day in the workroom, and none of us went home, thank God. I mean, I would have loved someone to go home, specifically Flower, but God was I scared I'd have to lip sync against my best friend here. That being said, it's pretty clear that this is the last time we'll all get off scot-free in a challenge, so I need to give it my all again today.
The queens enter the workroom, with Pikachu coming in ahead of the others, skipping to the table. Josie comments that he looks a lot better, and Kaito asks if he's really okay after what happened last week. Pikachu says he is, and that he was pretty much forced to get a good night's rest by production, so he made sure to get up bright and early to catch up on some dance practice. Oswald looks confused, and asks isn't he a great dancer already, since he did so well last week? Pikachu looks at him, and says obviously not great enough seeing as he didn't win the challenge. Oswald just sighs, and shakes his head.
I'm just so frustrated. I believe that I'm doing my best, but the judges don't, and the other queens don't seem to understand that I'm not here to be middle of the road. I'm gonna keep working until I'm recognized, and that's all there is to it.
Aventurine asks Kaito how he feels about losing a second lip sync for the win this season, especially with how well he actually did in the lip sync. Kaito shrugs, and says that he did really want the win, but that Ritsuka outperformed him fair and square, and he hasn't lost his drive yet. Mimi says that it's shady of Aventurine to ask that, since he chose Kaito to go home based on him not having a win yet. Aventurine laughs, and says it isn't shade, they've just gotten to the point where everyone left is strong, and Kaito not having a win yet is an issue if he wants to make it to the end. Aventurine then pauses for a moment, and says well, almost everyone is strong, shooting a glance at Oswald. Oswald just mumbles to himself.
Oh, here we go again. Pretty boy has opinions. God, Aventurine is lucky he's hot, because he is one of the most annoying people I've ever met. Let's just call a spade here. If he didn't have that face card, he wouldn't be where he is. Actually, let's put even finer of a point on it. I think we've all forgotten that this bitch was the least voted in the casting pool. He's lucky that he got cast to begin with, and yet he has the nerve to come for the queen who has actually succeeded from start to finish? Just go home already.
Skull Kid is clearly about to say something when the room mail alarm cuts him off.
She already done had hers.
Hello everyone, and congratulations on making top 9. Well, again. Wow, we need to get rid of some of you bitches. Well, no time like the present, because trust and believe, one of you will be eliminated tonight. Not me, though. I just figured I should make that clear. But first things first, let's get into the mini challenge. You have 5 minutes to get into elderly quick drag, and dance the house down. Just try not to throw out a hip.
Oswald looks like Boris Johnson to begin with, so getting into old bitch quick drag won't be very difficult for him. For some of us younger, prettier divas, whose bone structures aren't condemned and filled with black mold, it's gonna be a little bit harder.
Josie Rizal won the mini challenge.
Where the fuck did you get a loaf of bread? Whatever, we'll look into that later. Congratulations Josie. Now, in this week's Maxi Challenge, we'll be channeling Shark Tank. You'll be creating advertisements selling products based on your drag. You'll have a limited amount of time to create your ad without any help from us or the pit crew. However, Josie, as the winner of the mini challenge, you'll have a lovely little assistant during filming. Our season 1 advert winner, and runner-up, Spinel. Oh my god, I love Spinel. We may be two very different types of queen, but we both embody the pillars of cunt so well. Charismama, nerve-a-see, uniquenessella, and talentina. Well, yes, I know it's charisma, uniqueness, nerve, and talent. But truly cunt boom boom dolls make it their own. Anyway, I can't wait to meet that diva. I hope she can help me turn it out. Now, good luck, and don't fuck it up.
Josie, Ritsuka, Oswald, and Skull Kid decide to work at a station together. Oswald pipes up, and says he's finally gonna ask a question they've all been thinking, before turning to Ritsuka and asking what's going on between him and Aventurine. Ritsuka chuckles, and says I don't see how that's any of your business. The queens laugh.
Is this a safe space? I guess I might as well reveal, me and Mifuyu have had a polyamorous relationship since before the season. We discussed it, and it was best for the both of us. The drama with our Sen may have been a bit played up. I mean, don't get me wrong, I did not like him at all. But it had nothing to do with what happened on season 1, it's just because he's a bit of a cunt. I haven't really done anything with Aventurine though, we just talk a lot. As handsome as he is, and while I'd be open to a friends with benefits situation, I think the friends part is the emphasis there. And given how much of a playboy he seems to be, I'm sure he feels the same.
Oswald says that's fair enough, and asks the group what they'll be doing for their ad products. Josie says she'll be selling perfume. Ritska says that sounds nice, and Josie scoffs and says it's much more than nice, before standing up. Skull Kid says, "Oh, here we go," and Oswald laughs. Josie then loudly declares that she will be selling perfume that can turn you into a true boom boom doll of her caliber, and adds that if any of these bitches want a shot at the crown, they should try some. Oswald laughs and says, "Calm down, Barbie, you still only have one win, you aren't Sasha Colby." Josie stares blankly at him for several seconds, before shrugging and doing a jump split. The queens laugh.
I'll be selling Delusion, the signature fragrance of the Boom Boom doll herself, Josie Rizal. One spray is all it takes, and you'll be able to take on the world like Mother herself does. As for what Oswald said, I have no clue what he's talking about. As far as I'm concerned, I've won 5 challenges. My sickening girl group performance gave me a win. My legendary Russian accent from episode 3 should count as a challenge win. My lip sync from that week as well, that's totally a challenge win. I should have a challenge win for when I accidentally smacked Flour with that loaf of bread earlier, that was iconic. And I'm obviously the narrator of the season, that's a challenge win too in my opinion. In my own personal fantasy, I'm the first queen to ever get 5 wins. So eat that, bitches.
Ritska says that he's gonna sell Sato's tinted chapstick, to poke some fun at the critiques about him hardly wearing makeup last season. Josie asks if it's really the best idea to make his ad about Sato instead of himself, and Ritska says that he thinks it'll work out, since he's still gonna play a part in it. Oswald and Skull Kid glance at each other.
I don't think Skull Kid is a fan of Ritska, but I actually am. I still think that's a pretty bad idea. I understand that he's Sato's boyfriend, and I'm sure that'll tie into things, but the challenge is supposed to be based on your drag, not your boyfriend's drag. I hope he can pull this off, but I have my doubts for sure.
Skull Kid carries the conversation on, saying that he's going to be selling a spray can of chloroform, called Night Night, Bitch. Josie says that's weird, and asks what gave him that idea, and he turns to her, and he said listening to her talk this entire time made him wish he could knock her out, so he decided to just go for it. Josie's jaw drops, and Oswald screams from laughing.
I've spent this entire competition listening to Queens gab about stupid shit. Boo-hoo, I want a challenge win. Boo-hoo, I want my boyfriend. Boo-hoo, I want to fuck Ritska. And other nonsense. With my product, just one spray, and they'll shut the fuck up for 3 to 5 hours. It's a godsend, really. I just wish it was legal.
Oswald says he'll be selling a bad makeup kit, called Face for Radio. Skull Kid says that sounds very on brand, and Oswald hits him in the shoulder, saying he's lucky that they're friends now. Skull Kid turns away, smiling, which Ritska notices. He laughs a bit, and says wow, Skull Kid actually has emotions. Skull Kid rolls his eyes, and tells Ritska to mind his own damn business and focus on staying out of the bottom for once in his damn life, before quickly getting up and leaving the station. Oswald follows, looking confused, and Ritska just sighs and goes back to writing.
What the hell, dude? I was just kidding with him. What did I even say wrong for him to come for me like that? Whatever, it was a wake-up call. I don't have time to banter with these queens. I just got my win, and I need to keep pushing forward, because I'm gonna need a whole lot more to offset those 2 bottom placements. It's time to get back to work. Well, I'll still talk with Josie, but I'll be focused.
Kaito, Mimi, Flower, and Aventurine are at a station discussing the challenge. Kaito asks about everyone's products, and Flower asks why exactly he's worried about it. Mimi gives her a dirty look, and Flower sighs, and says she'll be selling a face mist to turn ugly queens pretty. Aventurine says damn, maybe the other table could use some of that. Flower and Aventurine laugh. Mimi works silently, and Kaito just looks around awkwardly.
I've been hanging out with Flower and Mimi more lately. I get along with Mimi really well, though she doesn't talk as much lately. Flower is complicated. I enjoy talking to her, she's actually kind of endearing sometimes. But then, out of nowhere, it's like a string breaks in her mind. She either reads me out of nowhere, or says something really hateful about the other girls. I don't really live for it, but it isn't enough for me to say anything, I suppose.
Aventurine says he'll be selling pretty privilege. Kaido laughs and says, oh, like some makeup? Aventurine says no, he's selling the concept of pretty privilege. Mimi asks how he'll make that into a product, and Aventurine says, well, just look at my face. Mimi laughs and says she's sure they'll love it.
That's stupid. You need a product, my love. Aventurine has been so smart and strong in the challenges up to now. He barely had to try. What's with him lately? I mean, even in the Rusical, he did well like we all did, but he was clearly distracted during rehearsals. I'm starting to wonder if he's losing steam.
Aventurine asks Kaito what he's doing for his ad. He says that he's gonna sell a voice modulator that'll let you sing songs in his voice. Flower scoffs and says who would ever buy a computer program that makes music using Kaito's voice. No shade, but nobody would do that. Kaito just blinks at her.
Who's gonna tell her?
Mimi says she'll be selling a mascara called Lash Lasso to make your makeup routine easier when you're too busy winning everything to put on falsies. Kaito laughs and says, calm down girl, you haven't gotten a win in 3 episodes. Flower almost chokes and says, bitch, you haven't gotten a win in 6. The queens all laugh.
I understand that Kaito is a threat here in his own way. But I mean, we have to face facts. It's episode 8, and he still has no wins. He's the only queen left without one. I can see him making to the end, but we need to be honest, you can't win the season if you can't even win a challenge. It doesn't matter how many times you're in the top if you can only make it to second place. It doesn't help that, of the ideas I've heard so far, I do think his is the weakest. I fear he might end up in the bottom before he ever gets that win, and, we saw what happened the last 2 times he lip-synced.
Aventurine says he's pretty much finished writing, so he's gonna go see what Ritsuka is up to. As he's walking away, Mimi shouts be sure to use protection, and Kaito turns red, saying he's gonna go work on his own for a bit.
What's with Kaito and freaking out every time a mildly dirty joke is made? We're all grown drag queens, and yet he acts like a kid watching the sex scene from The Notebook with his mother in the room. It's even stranger, because he literally stripped naked on stage last week on international television. So confusing.
Pikachu is working alone, rapidly jumping between sewing his costume and writing lines for his ad, when suddenly he stumbles and falls off of his chair, shouting in frustration. After some deep breaths, he calmly hops back onto the chair, and goes back to work.
I'm so refreshed after last night, I'm getting my work done in record time. I don't feel nervous about this challenge at all. I'll be selling my own energy drink, super effective. I hope the judges love it. I can't lose again. I won't lose again. I've got this, I'm sure of it. Are the cameras off? God, I'm so fucking exhausted. I don't know how much more I can take. I don't have time for this right now, I need to get back to work.
After some time, the queens are called to film their ads. Josie Rizal slayed the challenge.
Spinel was absolutely lovely, and I just know that the judges are gonna be obsessed with my delusion. Oop, I meant delusion. But yes, I truly did eat this challenge up. And yet, despite all the eating I did, my waist is still corset tight. Ah, it's so amazing to be so amazing.
Flower, Skull Kid, and Mimi Tachikawa were great in the challenge.
I know I've had a reputation of not being especially funny, but I think I turned it in this ad. I channeled my desperate desire to get rid of all the ugly bitches around me, and I applied that to the challenge. I think I have a strong shot this week.
We had the guest judge, Helga Pataki, sitting in while we filmed as the director, and she was living for my ad. Kaito was being playful about me not getting a win the past few episodes, but sadly, he's right. But based on this, I think there's a good chance this challenge changes that.
I found a really clever way to get past the fact that I had to play all the roles myself, and I saved time on costume changes by using some of the masks I brought to the competition. Being able to sell several different characters with just a quick mask change is, well, true talent. I think the judges will appreciate that skill. But that Helga Pataki in the director's chair had a lot of opinions about my ad, and even asked if I wanted to change my concept last minute. So in the last few minutes of my time, after she left the room, I actually did decide to edit part of my script on the fly to show that stupid bitch a thing or two. Her reaction is gonna be lovely.
Ritsuka Uenoyama, Kaito, Pikachu, and Oswald the Lucky Rabbit were good in the challenge.
I did run into a little issue, where for my ad I needed to be bouncing off the walls with energy, but I've been feeling pretty sluggish lately so I wasn't. However, my product came in handy, and I chugged a couple of them to get my energy up. I lost some filming time, but I think I did pretty well overall.
My concept was strong, but one thing I didn't think about was that since I'm selling a makeup kit, I'd have to fully change my makeup when I swapped characters. It took up a lot of time. My jokes landed really well in my opinion, and Helga seemed to like my concept, but I had to cut a whole section of my ad to do it all in time, making it shorter than the others. In a perfect world that wouldn't have happened, but I think I did what I needed to do.
Aventurine did bad in the challenge.
I'll only say this once, and if you repeat it, I'll deny it. I could tell Mimi doubted me, and well, I suppose she was correct. If all goes well, my runway can keep me from the bottom too. And if it doesn't, well, I'm gonna do what I need to do to stay here. You saw me in that premiere lip sync. I won't be going home.
To watch some of the advertisements from this episode, join the Cartoon Drag Race Discord for an exclusive peek. Now, back to your regularly scheduled programming.
The queens head back to the workroom to get ready for the main stage. Josie goes to Pikachu, who is still sewing, and asks if that's his runway look for this week. Pikachu says yes, he's just adding a few last-minute alterations. Josie asks if he really needs to do that, since it's already a great look. Pikachu nods, and Josie just shrugs and walks away.
Pikachu is my best friend, honestly. If I can put the dramatics aside for a second, I'm nervous for him, and not just in the competition. A person's body can only take so much, and after Untucked last week, I just want to be sure he's okay.
Once she leaves, Pikachu's eyes start closing, and he falls asleep at his sewing machine, accidentally putting a seam across his entire garment. Josie notices as she's leaving, and runs back, quickly waking him up screaming. In a panic, he quickly starts trying to fix it, with Josie helping him.
You've got to be fucking kidding me. I can't handle this right now. I don't have the time, and I can't have my runway drag me down again. Why are all of you looking at me like that? What the fuck do you not understand? I can't do that again, I'm gonna fix this somehow. Thank God that Josie is here to help me, she's always in my corner.
Aventurine and Ritska are getting ready for the runway together. Aventurine looks to Ritska and says, "You're in an open relationship, right?" Ritska chokes, and says yes, but how did you know that? Aventurine says he has his ways.
I put a camera in the confessional booth during the first episode. It's been pretty helpful, and I read the contract thoroughly, there's no rules against it. I can't have a camera in the workroom, but I can have one here. I told production as well, there's no foul play involved. They did say they'd have to change that contract next season though, haha.
Aventurine sighs, and asks if they can sit down. Ritska looks confused, but nods. Aventurine continues by saying that he doesn't like to get vulnerable, but that he actually likes Ritska a lot, and wants to ask if they could have dinner after the competition together. Ritska gasps, and says he'd love that. He definitely considers Aventurine one of his best friends after all the time they've spent together. Aventurine smiles, and then his expression drops, and he says best friends? Ritska nods, and then says he really has to finish getting ready for the runway, so we'll see Aventurine later, before walking away. Aventurine just sits in silence.
I don't think that's ever happened to me before. Fuck.
After some time, the queens are called to the runway.
Hello my loves, and welcome to Cartoon Drag Race Philippines Season 2. I am one of your beloved hosts, Kagamane Len. Please welcome our beautiful judging panel, the other half of our sickening judging duo, it's Kagamane Rin. Our permanent judge, and my favorite drag queen, it's Candace Flynn. And the Rob Diva of Cartoon Drag Race Toon World, the eccentric Helga Pataki. Are you happy to be here?
Well, I'd say it feels correct, but some of those queens definitely gave me grief. At the very least, it's nice to not be the ugly duckling on the panel right now. I'm definitely prettier than two of the people in this room.
Well, I can say that at the very least, it's nice to have someone on the panel with worse makeup than me. Well, two people.
Now why am I in it?
Anyways, tonight we challenged our queens with creating advertisements for products inspired by their drag. And tonight on the runway, category is Concept Camp. I want to see concepts on this runway tonight. Now, without further ado, let's begin.
Josie Rizal slayed the runway.
Girl, I know you all think I'm just a fashion doll and I can't go out of the box. So I decided to stay right in the box, literally. I'm shuffling down the runway in a giant display box labeled, Boom Boom Doll, dressed up like Filipina Barbie, and bitch, I'm coming to an iconic toy store near you. And when I pull the string inside, the box plays some of my delicious catchphrases. I'm giving you Emma Ross realness. You know what I'm talking about.
Aventurine, Mimi Tachikawa, Ritsuka Uenoyama, and Flower were good on the runway.
I knew I wanted to make my look tonight based on my petals, so I just added as many as I could fit, basically making a giant mask covering my entire front. This bitch is heavy, and it hurts my neck, but I love how it turned out.
Pikachu, Oswald the Lucky Rabbit, Skull Kid, and Kaito were bad on the runway.
I decided to try and make it look like my outfit was made out of braided hair from my wig. And, well, I like the concept, but I don't think I executed it all that well. Camp isn't really my thing, I'm not sure I have the mind for it. But the judges seemed vaguely amused, so I'll take what I can get.
I'm so frustrated right now. My look was great, but I had to fix that giant seam so quickly, and deal with the damage from ripping it out, and by the end of it all I had messed up the fit and even put a couple of holes in it. The judges seemed to mostly like it until I turned around. Maybe I should have just misvanjied off the stage.
My queens, now that we've seen your ads, I have made some decisions. Oswald and Kaito, you are safe, you may leave the stage.
It's a little frustrating since I see myself as a comedy queen here, and I really thought I could eat this challenge up. But this was a fair placement. I'm pulling for Skull Kid this week, but a few girls did just as well. I guess we'll see.
Now, let's get into critiques. Skull Kid, please step forward.
Your ad was hilarious. Chloroforming drag queens to get them to leave you alone is such a great concept. And I love the way you used masks to change characters. It was a really clever way to get around such a difficult aspect of the challenge.
The shade infused in every single scene, I was gagged. You made sure at least one bitch got gathered in every sentence. I do want to critique your runway this week though. I had high expectations for you with the concept camp category, and I was kind of disappointed. Trigger warning to you Helga, but I do feel that this look is all concept and no substance. I like the idea of covering your body in masks on strings, and them clanging around on stage. But it's very messy. We've seen you do camp well before, and this isn't it.
You know, I doubted you, and I even told you to change your concept, but it turned out amazing, so I'm thrilled that you ignored me. But don't think that I didn't clock you adding scenes just to insult me. Skull Kid, that was genius. You absolutely read me, and I couldn't be more proud.
Josie Rizal, please step forward.
I'll be honest, Josie, I was starting to lose my faith in you. You came out swinging that first week, but after that, it's been very middle of the pack. Last week you definitely pulled forward again, and this week you kept that momentum up. Your ad was so irreverent and campy, you worked so well with Spinel, I couldn't stop laughing.
There's this it factor with you Josie, nobody else in the competition does things the way you do, nobody else in the world has your mind. You're not afraid to make fun of yourself, you're always in on the joke, but you take things just seriously enough for your drag to be at a peak. You were absolutely my favorite this week.
I was disappointed by this runway category honestly, I had high expectations. But you're the only girl that truly understood it I think, and you absolutely gagged me. This is high camp. Filipina Boom Boom Doll, mint condition, brand new in the box, shuffling down the runway and saying catchphrases. You better fucking work.
Ritsuka Uenoyama, please step forward.
I actually quite liked your ad, it wasn't next level, but it was funny and the concept worked. My issue was, you seemed like a side character. The ad was about Sato, not Ritsuka. I appreciate subverting the challenge, but I'm not sure it worked.
I have the same thoughts as Rin here. I know what you were going for, and you succeeded, and it was funny. It just wasn't really what we were looking for. I want to give you credit where credit is due, you didn't do poorly, it just didn't fit the challenge to me.
Fuck both of them, honestly. I mean, I understand what they were saying. I just don't care as much. You thought outside of the box here. You tied your ad to a reference to last season, and it was connected to you as well. I also just really love the concept. A drag queen selling tinted chapstick for clean girl makeup. That's hilarious. Good job this week, Ritsuka. Don't let the hags bring you down.
Aventurine, please step forward.
Aventurine, I had no clue what was going on with your ad. What were you selling us? The concept of being pretty? That's not a product. You could have sold foundation that makes busted girls look like they have skin like yours. You could have sold perfume that secretly hypnotizes the people around you into thinking they're hot. This was a good idea that you just didn't take anywhere. I didn't get it.
I think it's harder when you set a high bar. You've been consistently top tier here, and it seemed so effortless. In this challenge, it seemed like you lost the plot. Also, I've praised you for your versatility and I mean it, but I do think when all else fails you fall back on being the pretty boy. I would have liked you to try something new.
Tonight on the runway, I'm not blown away, and I want it to be. I'd say that you, Flower, and Mimi are held to a different standard on the runway, because you've turned looks constantly. Your look tonight was boring to me. I liked it, and I understood your concept, but it was nothing special.
Flower, please step forward.
Flower, you haven't been a funny queen up to now, and it's held you back a lot. But girl, you sorted that out tonight. You were hilarious. The makeup you did for the queens who got transformed by the face mist was hilarious. I love the callback to your non-slip shoes. I think you were the best this week, in my opinion.
I think we've discovered something about you, Flower. You're not funny in the way a queen like Oswald is, or even Skull Kid is. You're funny in your own way, you just need to be in your element. Now, that's not necessarily a good thing, because in a competition like this you can't always be in your element. But it shows us that you can be funny, you aren't a one-trick pony. Great job.
Yes, Len, because I'm sure what Flower enjoys more than anything is a comparison to Oswald and Skull Kid. That was shady. Putting that aside though, Flower, you impressed me this week. Your ad was the perfect combination of showing your drag persona and sticking it to the queens who don't like you. And I'll always be here for that.
Mimi Tachikawa, please step forward.
Mimi, your ad was absolutely hilarious. Flexing on everyone here with the crowns and trophies and badges constantly falling from the sky. And those giant lashes. I'm absolutely obsessed. It's hard for me to imagine you doing poorly at anything at this point.
I think this whole time the producer in me has been waiting for you to slip up, to see a moment of weakness. I know it's evil, but it's my job. I'm starting to think it won't happen. I think your concept for your ad was my favorite out of them all. And on the runway, while I would have liked to see you take things further, I liked it a lot.
Your ad was my favorite tonight, honestly. But I do think your runway let you down. I got the joke, the category was camp, and you did this whole camp counselor bit, but kept it actually campy with the way you sold it on the runway. I just think that when you, being a fashion pageant queen, are presented with a camp category, you should see it as an opportunity to show that you can do something different than normal. This is something I'd expect from Mimi. It wasn't especially camp, and it didn't lean in hard enough to me.
Pikachu, please step forward.
I enjoyed your ad, but I mean, it was pretty much what I expected. Nothing you did gagged me. It would have been perfectly safe, but darling, this runway is a disaster. I don't know what must have gone on backstage, but whatever it was, it dragged you down a lot.
Honestly, runway aside, I didn't fully like your ad. I chuckled a few times. But I couldn't really focus, because it looked like you were less energized and more frazzled. You're a high-energy queen, so an energy drink ad is a great idea. But you seemed frantic and panicked. If you had made that the joke, an energy drink with a side effect of anxiety or paranoia, that would have been hilarious. But it was clearly unintentional, so I ended up more concerned than entertained.
Do you need to breathe in a paper bag or something? Your look is falling apart, and from what I know of you, you're far too polished for that. And you look so tense, like you're just screaming inside. It was the same in your advert. A lot of drag is about the persona. You can't come on stage like this, because as we can see it holds you back a lot in the challenges.
My queens, now that we've let you know our thoughts, it's time for your placements. Skull Kid, your performance tonight knocked the haters unconscious. You're safe, you may leave the stage. Mimi Tachikawa, your lassoed lashes blew us away tonight. Literally. You're safe, you may leave the stage.
I am a little gagged. I thought tonight was my win. But I'm not upset by any means. Trust, I'm not one of those queens that's gonna moan and complain about being safe. I understand my critiques, and I can't wait to stun even more in the weeks to come.
Josie Rizal, you brought us into that crazy mind of yours tonight, and your runway was in mint condition. Congratulations, my love, you're the winner of this week's challenge.
Oh my god, fucking finally. I've been dying to get my 6th win. Well, technically 2nd, but still. None of these girls can keep up with me, truly. But honestly, thank you so much Kagamane Len, this means a lot to me. It'll make the feeling even better when you call me the Philippines' next drag superstar.
Flower, fantastic job this week, you're safe. You may both leave the stage.
I can't deny that Josie was at a level above this week. I'm just happy to have shown some versatility here. Because now that Brick Bunny has lost the only thing he's been able to hold against me. And where was he? Oh right, in the Untucked lounge. Safe in a comedy challenge while I was in the top. Who's the weak link now?
That means that Pikachu, Ritska, and Aventurine, you're the bottoms of the week.
I can't believe I ended up here again. I tried so hard, I did the best I could. I feel like I'm gonna cry. I'm just so tired, but I'm prepared to perform if I need to. I won't be leaving.
Well, every star has a moment where it dims. Don't think I'm gonna lay down and die. We all know it's me and the rat down there, so let's just fast forward to me sending him home. He needs it anyway, so he can go find some Xanax.
Pikachu, you are safe, but let's be clear, you need to step it up next week. We are not happy with your performance tonight. You may leave the stage. That means that Ritska and Aventurine, I'm sorry my loves, but you are up for elimination.
Safe? Pikachu is safe? How many fucking passes is he gonna get? Especially since he's falling apart at the seams. I'm getting so sick of being thrown into the bottom, and to be here next to Aventurine, who's such a good friend of mine. It just hurts, but I know what I need to do. If the judges want a show this bad, they'll fucking get one.
Prior to tonight, I asked you to prepare a lip sync to Maneater by Nelly Furtado.
The time has come for you to lip sync for your life. Good luck, and don't fuck it up.
You know those moments when you see someone who's just so in their element? Like, total eclipse of the heart, nobody else matters? That's what I'm getting in this lip sync from Ritska. I expected him to be held back lip syncing against someone he's so close to, but the fire in him is coming through in every move. I'm actually gagged. But will it really be enough, when Aventurine is such a frontrunner?
Ritska had a great lip sync. Aventurine had a good lip sync.
My queens, I have made my decision. Ritska Uenoyama. Shantae, you stay. You may leave the stage.
Holy shit. Oh my fucking god. I actually did it? I won? Oh my god. I'm sorry. I don't like to crack like this. Crying over a lip sync is stupid. I feel awful that Aventurine had to go, but I'm so proud to have stayed. Kagamine Len, you won't regret this.
Aventurine, you came into this competition being hated and underestimated, but when given the opportunity, you turned it the fuck out. We're truly going to miss you, and your face card. Now, sashay, away.
Well, if we've all learned one thing, it's that I'm hot as fuck. Thank you, and good night.
This is Untucked.
The queens gather in Untucked and congratulate Josie for winning the challenge. Josie thanks them, and asks if they're really all that surprised. Flower says that actually, she was a little surprised that it wasn't her, but that Josie did deserve it. Josie side-eyes her, but just says thank you.
And here goes Flower, like usual, making it her moment. Unlike some of these bitches, I'm really happy for Josie's win tonight. She's been such a light in the workroom, and I love seeing her succeed. Maybe that's why Flower is so bothered. She rarely gets to succeed.
Josie congratulates Ritska for winning the lip sync, adding that she definitely felt some boom boom doll energy in those hair whips. Ritska laughs and thanks her, saying it's bittersweet to send a friend home, but that it needed to be done. Josie blinks and says friend? Ritska just looks confused.
If Ritska and Aventurine are just friends, then the pink stick in my hotel room is just a neck massager. He can't be serious, right? I mean, they were around each other constantly. It was fully giving dom and sub in the workroom, and I could tell Aventurine came around to it near the end. Was Ritska actually never thinking that way?
Skull Kid says they also owe Pikachu a congratulations for being safe again, clapping for him and laughing. Kaito looks upset, and says to give him a break. Skull Kid asks why, the judges give him plenty of breaks already. Flower chuckles, and says very that. Pikachu just looks down.
I'm not gonna lie, I don't live for this. Pikachu is clearly struggling. Do we really need to be reading him like this? It's like kicking a sad puppy. I think the girls should just leave him alone right now. I'm starting to really worry about him.
Pikachu starts to get up to leave, but Josie calmly tells him to sit back down, as she stands up and goes towards Skull Kid, crouching in front of him. Skull Kid asks what she wants, and Josie asks if he came for Pikachu because he did anything, or because he's too much of a pussy to come for someone who's in the headspace to stand up to him. Skull Kid just looks stunned.
Who does this bitch think she is? I came for Pikachu because I'm frankly over him constantly being saved by the judges. If anyone doesn't like being punched down at, they should step their pussy up so they aren't so far beneath. I couldn't give a fuck less how anyone feels about it.
Skull Kid starts to respond, but Josie puts a finger in his face, and says he can speak when she's done. The other queens gasp. Josie then says that she understands that Skull Kid feels some type of way because his only accomplishments are shared wins with someone funnier than him, and that he kicks people who are down to feel better about that, but that she isn't going to let him act like that towards her friend when he's having a hard time. So if he wants to apologize to Pikachu, he's welcome to, otherwise he can speak to her instead. Skull Kid tells Josie she can kiss his ass. He isn't sorry for calling out a weak link, and it's pretty clear that none of the other girls had an issue with it. Kaido speaks up, and says actually, he thought it was uncalled for too. Skull Kid looks annoyed, but after a moment, he just smiles and says alright then.
You know what? I'll play her game. I'll humble myself in front of her unmoisturized knees, and feign an apology. Let's see how things go for him in the next challenge if we coddle him. I'm sure it'll be lovely.
He turns to Pikachu, and says he's sorry, he was out of line. Pikachu looks shocked, but just silently nods, still looking dejected. Skull Kid grabs his drink, and says cheers to top 8. The other queens, still looking surprised, clink their glasses and toast to top 8.